What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to have a One Piece investing state of the union per se when it comes to sealed product. We're going to go over every set that's released so far except OP12, and we're going to look deep into the numbers, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an explanation on what's going on, what I think is going to happen over the next couple months, and we're also going to be taking a look at my spreadsheet. Now, I normally don't do this. I normally don't show you guys the numbers because this is something that is behind a fairly cheap paywall, in my opinion, for the amount of work I put into it. But we did just pass 3,000 subs on the channel. I really am grateful to you guys for that. So we're going to show you it all today. We're going to get into the video, get into the data, and you guys will hopefully get a little bit better of an appreciation for the secondary market and what's actually going on with some of these sets. So to start off, Romance Dawn, kind of, the big hitter right now. Blue bottoms are going for like $2,500. This is kind of what bothers me about TCG Player is sometimes their data is just so far behind. For example, this Romance Dawn booster box says it's 1920, but really it should be in the mid 2000s at this point. And on eBay, we've had sales as high as $3,000. Again, someone said in my comments the other day, there's a sale up to like $3,500. So on eBay, these are pushing like $2,600, $2,700, even $3,000 all day. You can see here, what I do is I take market price from TCG Player. I do a 20% increase from that market price. And the reason for this is that I try and track boxes that are in a sellable range. And what I mean by that is if a box, for example, like if someone listed a blue bottom box for $4,000 USD, that's not going to sell anytime soon. Or if it's $10,000 USD, say, it's not going to sell within a year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows how long. It's just so far away from market price. It's not really relevant to track that type of listing. But if a box is within 20% of market price, there's a fairly good chance it's going to sell in the short term. And based on the amount of boxes we have available, the sales volume, essentially the sell-through rate, how many boxes are selling on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, we get a decent idea of how long that supply that we have is going to last before prices start to increase, before people move their boxes up from 100 to 200 to 300, etc. And that's kind of how boxes move in this market. And that's why, even if I knew nothing about One Piece, or if I went to a different game, like if I wanted to start looking at Magic and stuff like that, I could tell with a fairly high level of accuracy what a sealed product is going to do over the next couple months to 6 months, just based on looking at the data, how many boxes are available, etc. So just by looking at this, you should get a decent idea of what's moving, what still has room to move, and what's going to be dead money for a while. Now, obviously, the more context you have about the sets you're investing in, about the game, etc., that plays a huge role because you can't tell which set. Like if I just bring up this chart, you would have no idea which is the best set in One Piece if you didn't follow the game, you didn't know which cards were in each set. So if you know that, hey, OP09, very expensive chase cards, PRBO1, God Pack, tons of manga reprints, you would understand and have some level of context because that does play a role in how these prices move. And I'll try and better explain that as well when we're going through each of these sets. So starting off with Romance Dawn. Again, like that was way too long of an intro and to get through all of this, but Romance Dawn Blue Bottoms, these are fairly close to like 26, 2,700, I think at this point. 0 boxes listed below 2,300. They're selling 0.8 boxes approximately per day. We also did have that case sell, $25,000 USD. So yeah, I think Romance Dawn booster boxes, they're going to continue to move up. It doesn't seem like these are slowing down at all. Now, when these numbers do change, I'll let you guys know. But for the time being, I think blue bottom boxes are going to continue moving. And part of this too is, the graph is behind, so it kind of skews the data, but I really wouldn't be surprised if blue bottom boxes are $3,500 plus at the end of the year at this point. Now, white bottoms, I think this is a more relevant one. You can see TCG Player, we're sitting around $465. A 20% leg up gives us about $558. There are only 2 booster boxes listed, and I should say this, I only track eBay North America, so I don't track worldwide. I'm actually considering changing that in the future. I've gotten rid of average sale price, so I am contemplating just doing worldwide sales. It might be a little bit more relevant. But in North America, only 2 boxes listed below $558.35. And they're selling about 0.57 boxes per day. So what would that be, like 17-ish sales, something like that, over the past 28 days. So these are going to continue moving. And I think saying that these are going to reach 500 by the end of the year, that was way too conservative. These could potentially get to $600 plus by the end of 2025. That really would not surprise me. Now, after that, Paramount War, this box is actually up. I mean, you can see here, this is market price based on the last time we tracked this on August 7th, which was week 17 update. So these are up a little bit on TCG Player. 25 boxes listed below $253. Paramount War, for you guys that don't know, it's the set with the Ace manga in it. It's still a decent set compared to like Pillars of Strength and Kingdoms of Intrigue, which we'll talk about here in a second. But the 25 boxes, they're not moving that fast, only 0.32 selling per day on average, which isn't great. So there's about 78 days approximately of inventory. And again, this isn't perfect. It's not a perfect science here, but I do think Paramount War is kind of dead money. Now, what can happen with some of these sets? And again, there's not a ton of boxes, like 25 for Paramount War, 4 for Pillars of Strength, 14 for Kingdoms of Intrigue, excuse me. If someone comes to TCG Player and they want to do a buyout, it's really not that hard for them to buy 15 boxes. Like that's only what, like $3,000 approximately that you'd need to spend to buy out all the boxes on TCG Player. If that happens, you can have a box run up kind of high in the short term. Then you probably have some sellers list their boxes, box price comes back down a little bit, but normally you would get like a new floor on the box price after that happens. So there is always the potential for that, but just based on how this box is selling, I don't expect Paramount War to be like $300 at the end of 2025. I just don't see it happening. Again, there is a possibility it does happen, but it is unlikely. Now, I just wanted to jump in here and say, if you guys are getting value out of this video, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below for the algorithm. That helps out a ton. So thank you in advance if you do decide to do that. Now moving on, Pillars of Strength, same sort of deal as Paramount War. It's in around $230, so that's actually down compared to last month. We were getting close to $240 on TCG Player. 4 boxes listed, which is half the supply we had last update, but they're only selling 0.32 boxes per day. We also had that sealed case sell on auction for $1,525. We covered that in one of the market updates. So Pillars of Strength, it's kind of just in a meh situation. Again, like I'm not really thrilled on this investment right now. I don't think it's going to get to $300 either by the end of the year. It could though, in theory. There's definitely a lot less boxes to get through and they really aren't being replenished by other sellers on the platform. Kingdoms of Intrigue as well, kind of the same situation, 14 boxes. Last month we had 11. Sell-through rate a little bit better, 0.5 boxes per day, so 14 boxes over the past 28 days. Normally, once these get into like the green for one piece, which I think is like 20 to 40 days when I color-coded this, that's when we should, maybe pay a little bit more attention to them. Obviously, it depends on how much stock and sales volume for some of these boxes. Like even some of these in like the lighter green, I think are worth looking at and could potentially move faster, which we'll get to here in a second. But yeah, Kingdoms of Intrigue, still kind of in the same situation. Maybe it's to like 250, 240 by the end of the year. I'm not really a huge fan of 02, 03, and 04. You guys know that. If I did have to choose one of these, it would be 02, just because it's a little bit older. And also when it comes to the Chase manga card, I think the Ace is obviously better than the Soga King and the Sabo, but they're all fairly close. I mean, you have pros and cons of buying into any of those. Now, a little bit better of a set, OPO5, Awakening the New Era. This box on TCG Player, we're back up to $265. So people have definitely been targeting this box, buying it out. It makes sense. It's one of the better sets in One Piece. Most recent sales as well, over $270. I imagine the next update I do for this set, this box is going to be back to like $280. I already said this box is going to be over $300 by the end of the year. It might even be higher, like $320. Could push that, entirely possible. If we look here, a 20% leg up would be $316.40. And there's about 100 boxes, 96 boxes listed below this 316. And I should mention that these aren't counting sealed cases, neither are the average daily solds, like the sales volume. I view sealed cases as something completely different. I will note it though, so like with Romance Dawn, a sealed case selling, it's something worth bringing up and, pointing out to people. But 96 boxes that are loose, and they're selling at 2.5 per day. 2.5 loose boxes on eBay North America. That's auction and buy it now. That gives us about 38 days of remaining inventory, so a little over a month. You guys are also going to see this weekend when we do the eBay market auction video, the alternate art stamped card. We had a massive sale up here in Canada, I believe through Slab Sharks. Went for like 5,200 Canadian or something, like 3,700 USD. Crazy how much that card is continuing to climb. Speaking of climbing, Wings of the Captain, climbing very slowly up to around $157, 20% leg up around 188. This is a pretty solid set. You know, it's not going to be like an A tier, S tier investment, but Wings of the Captain, it's somewhere in the middle of the pack. It's a little bit older of a set as well. I am a fan of the Zoro manga. Then I think you have like the Rebecca card in there, a couple other decent hitters as well. So yeah, I'm kind of a fan of this set. Kind of not in the sense that I wouldn't be going all in on it, but if you have a little bit of exposure to this set, I think that's actually a decent idea. 69 boxes listed below 188.15, selling at 1.54 per day. And that's another reason I forgot to mention. Normally, Wings of the Captain is actually one of the better selling booster boxes in One Piece, surprisingly. I think people do want to try and chase the Zoro. When we look at the manga cards from the first like 6 sets, it's only behind the Luffy manga, in my opinion, and then also probably the Shanks manga from Romance Dawn, even though that one's actually fairly close to the Zoro, I think, in terms of popularity. So this set, it is fairly easy to liquidate if you need to get rid of your position. That's why I would probably rank it a little bit higher than just based on the cards inside the set. But either way, that gives us about 45 days of inventory remaining. Do I think this box is going to hit $200 by the end of the year? Probably not, but I mean, if it gets to like the 170, 175 range, I think that's absolutely fine for One Piece Wings of the Captain. Now after that, we have Memorial Collection EBO1, $323.37. I do think the next time we do this update, this box is going to be higher. Not a ton of sales on it, but you can see some pushing 350 on TCG Player. Obviously a lot still around 320, but it is slowly moving up. Only one box listed on eBay North America below $388.04, and they're selling 0.5 boxes per day over the past month, so 14 sales, and that gives us about 2 days of inventory. So that is very low. Obviously, doesn't work out perfectly like this. It's not going to actually jump up to $388 overnight, but the potential is there, and I do think that we're at a place where EBO1 should probably be closer to like $350, $360. Now moving on to 2 Legends, this box is around $111 on TCG Player right now. Nothing too crazy. I think this is going to be dead money for a long time. I know it's moved up a little bit, but most boxes have moved up, so it makes sense why it would move up. 20% leg up would be $132.79. There's 232 boxes listed below that price, and they're only selling at 0.82 per day. So that's approximately 283 days before we see this box get to around $230. I think that's honestly accurate. I mean, maybe if One Piece just explodes this fall, early next year, maybe that happens a little bit sooner, but I would not be putting a ton of money into 2 Legends at this point. Now, next up, we have PRBO1, $402.16. It's actually a lot higher on TCG Player now. I put these numbers in at midnight last night, so about 21 hours ago at this point. I don't know when TCG Player updates their data, but it seems like every time I put in the numbers that get updated are incredibly different from mine. But either way, this box is continuing to move up at a fairly rapid pace. It makes sense. It's, you know, one of the top 2 sets in One Piece right now. 15 boxes listed below $482.59. They're selling at 0.68 boxes per day, so that's a pretty solid sell-through rate for a box that's over $400 now. 22 days of remaining inventory. I think we're going to see PRBO1 continue to climb into the holiday season. Will it reach $500 before then? It's looking like it could potentially get there, especially if we don't get this number of boxes to increase and people don't start taking profits. Now after that, Emperors in the New World, $199.30. And right there, you can see on TCG Player $199.30. This box continues to move up. It's pushing all-time highs now. 48 boxes listed below $239.16. This is incredibly surprising to me. When we were doing these updates, I think like maybe 3 months ago in the spreadsheet, there were multiple hundred boxes listed below a 20% leg up for Emperors in the New World. So a lot of these boxes have absolutely been chewed through, selling at 1.68 per day. Also 4 sealed cases sold over the past 28 days. That gives us about a month of inventory remaining before this box is 240. Will it hit 240 in a month from now? Again, it doesn't work out perfectly that way, but I think that 09, unless we get more boxes, is going to push 220, 230. It could potentially get to like $250 plus by the end of 2025. That really would not surprise me. Now, a couple more here. We have Royal Blood down a couple cents since last update, sitting around $100-ish. 20% leg up, $119.57. There's 109 boxes listed below that price. Royal Blood, it's kind of like 2 Legends in the sense that I don't think it's a great place to put your money right now. Kind of dead money. 0.71 boxes selling per day. So a worse sell-through rate than 2 Legends, but just based on the fact that there's less supply out there, we only have about 153 days remaining before this box gets to 120. So just based on this, if you were asking me which set I would rather invest in, 2 Legends or Royal Blood, I think the obvious choice is Royal Blood. I mean, just looking at the manga card, I would probably take the Law over Silver's Rayleigh. I like Rayleigh in the anime. I think he's just an absolute boss. But the fact is, that is a more expensive card. Also, I really do like the SPs from Royal Blood. You have the Whitebeard and a couple other decent ones like the Sanji. So yeah, Royal Blood if I had to choose between the two. But if I could buy any set I wanted, neither of them would be up there unless I was just getting one box for display purposes. Now, a couple more sets here to close out the video. And on a serious note, EBO2 Anime 25th Collection. You guys already know I'm a huge fan of these extra boosters. This is up to about $190 on TCG Player, and a 20% leg up to 3110 approximately. Only 75 loose boxes listed below that price, selling at 0.93 per day. We also had a sealed case sell, what was that, $2,300. So these are still moving at a decent pace. Again, I think like the first couple weeks of release, these were selling at like 5 or 6 per day by now. So it's obviously slowed down a lot, but these are still moving. Still a solid set. You have great chase cards in there. 80 days of inventory approximately before we see these boxes hit 230. So maybe by the end of the year, they get to 250. It's possible. Now finally, OP11, a Fist of Divine Speed, $134.83. A 20% leg up would be $161.80. 92 boxes listed below that price. You guys already know, I just bought another case of this from HPW Cards in Canada. They're selling them for 150 Canadian. So I think after tax, the conversion comes out to like 111 USD. It was a pretty decent deal. I do like this set. Do I think it's as good as something like PRBO1 or OP09? No, but it's still going to be a solid A tier investment in my opinion with those Luffys in there. Selling at 1.18 boxes per day. Also a decent sell-through rate. About 78 days of inventory remaining. So does this box hit 150, 160 by the end of the year? I think that is entirely possible. $200 probably going to be a stretch. And then also one thing to consider, a lot of these sets like 09, OP10, 11 obviously, and then 12, which I haven't even covered yet. These are very new sets that could get more reprints. Some of you guys might be asking why OP12 isn't on the list. When I do my spreadsheets, and I do this for Pokemon as well, like we cover Sword and Shield booster boxes, Esfiera, we're going to be covering the Mega Evolutions and everything onwards. I wait about 3 months after release to add a product to the spreadsheet just because I want that initial dump to happen. If I track it right at the beginning, there's just so many boxes to track, and it's really not as useful of information as people think. Now, I do make exceptions. If there's a set that comes out and it's crazy popular, it's rising out the gate like Destined Rivals and Pokemon, then it gets added a lot quicker. But OP12, maybe like October or something, we'll start adding these. November, maybe even, we'll start adding the box to the list. But that's kind of what happens here. Hopefully this makes sense. If you guys have any questions about this or about how boxes move in TCGs and in One Piece and what you're thinking about getting involved in, definitely feel free to leave a comment down below. Also, if you guys want to get access to this, again, I'm not going to be showing this on a consistent basis just to pay respect to people that are actually in here, but we passed 3K, so I figured I'd show it. If you do want to get access though, I'm going to leave a discount code in the description or the pinned comment of this video just to celebrate getting to 3K. I think that's an awesome achievement, and I have you guys to thank for it, really. With that said, probably going to be taking a day off tomorrow from uploading on this channel. We'll be back on Saturday with the market update video. Have a couple very interesting things planned for this channel. Super excited about it. Super excited about the way One Piece is moving. If you guys are too, definitely let me know in the comments down below what you're investing in. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.